My first 6 weeks there was basic training. I never touched a ball and I never even spoke. I wasn't allowed to speak. So it's like I went there and it was everything but basketball. It was Army, which I knew, but that was my ticket to play basketball.
Welcome into episode 1 of Courtside Chronicles, a weekly look across the sport of basketball. From high school to college, all the way to the pros. We'll discuss headlines from all three levels, in addition to welcoming guests on the show to talk about the season and their journey in the sport. This week we sat down with the University of Pennsylvania's Ethan Roberts, one of just 33 players in Division I hoops that's averaging more than 20 points per game. It was a unique path to the Ivy League for the Memphis native, first heading to West Point because it was his only Division I offer. We talk about what it was like being an athlete at Army, why UPenn was a dream school, and what new head coach Fran McCaffrey is bringing to the UPenn program.
We are joined now by Ethan Roberts, a guard for the University of Pennsylvania, and he's gotten off to a hot start this season. Ethan, let's talk about your guys' season thus far. I think you're only 8 games in so far, but you are one of just 33 players averaging above 20 points per game so far this season. What's gone into some of this success for you and for your team in the early stages of the year?
Yeah. Well, just for our team, we're just every game we're getting a little bit better. Our first Division I game was with versus American, and we lost that. And I think if we played them now, we beat them by about 15. And that's no hate to them. I'm just saying we've got incrementally better each game. And I think that just happens when we have 7 new guys, a whole new coaching staff. So we're just getting more comfortable with each other. Um, and it's been really fun to play on this team. So we're really excited about our game Saturday. And for me, it's been interesting. I was out all summer with an injury and even missed preseason. So I don't really know how this season was going to go. Not the season, just early on. Like I thought I was going to have to work through some stuff, and I still am. So I just want to say that I'm like the team, hoping to get a little bit better each game as well. But it's been so fun this season. It's been my favorite season I've ever played of basketball, just in general. Just playing for Fran McCaffrey and just the team we have now is so special, and we all love each other, um, and hoping to do something special as well.
Being one of the best seasons that you've ever played in the sport of basketball. And we'll get into some of those factors. I know you mentioned Fran McCaffrey as well, but
Yeah.
let's talk a little bit about your history and just how
Yeah.
you did get into the game of basketball. Growing up in Illinois, Arlington Heights, assume playing a lot of ball around the Chicago area. So what was it like playing there, and how do you
Yeah.
feel like that played a role in your development?
Yeah. Well, actually, I was born and raised in Memphis. So I moved to Chicago around 17. So I really played, my first word was ball. So it's just always, with me. I always love sports. I'm the youngest of 4 siblings, and they're all athletes. So I grew up around sports, and basketball was my first love, and it's kind of stayed that. Um, so yeah, I grew up playing in Memphis. It was super fast-paced basketball, super athletic. Um, and moved to Chicago around my junior year of high school. And that's where I kind of saw like the first Ivy League people. That Chicago's like a pipeline for the Ivy League. So that was where I first heard about the Ivy League conference in general. It became an interest of mine as I take serious my academics, and it's also great sports. So it seemed like a great fit. But my journey here was different, right? Like I just said, I moved my junior year, but I was really under recruited, and I wanted to go to an Ivy League and never got recruited by any of them. So I ended up going to West Point as that was like my only Division I offer. And even before that, I was trying to commit to this Division II, like saying, please offer me. They never did. And then the one school that I applied to that I really wanted to go to is U Chicago, and I did not get in. So I felt like I don't know what I was gonna do. I was one of those seniors that was undecided and worried, honestly, as it was so like up and down this recruitment, and it was so stressful. But luckily enough, I got an offer from West Point and went there and loved it. Um, and was there for 2 years and transferred and ultimately ended up here. And I'm just so lucky. And as I said, I guess taking through that journey, it's just everything was up and down. and I just had to stay consistent with my work and belief and just having joy playing basketball was the biggest thing. So just to be in the position I am today is a blessing. Um, and even like I just said, I was injured all preseason. Like it's still going like this, you know what I mean? So that's the journey and that's where the reward is. And I'm still just having so much fun playing basketball and I can't believe I'm a senior now. So
It's funny you talk about kind of the ebbs and flows, especially going through
yes.
that recruiting process.
Yeah.
Looking back at it now, seeing the spot you're in and seeing, like you said, being in what you've called the best basketball season thus far that you've played, what would you say that you learned from those times where nobody was recruiting you and nobody was, offering you? What did you learn from those that kind of made you a better basketball player?
Just you got to work. That's really it. I had an accountability mirror with myself. I try to see what am I doing that's not getting me to where I want to be. And I didn't look at that as negative, but more of like an opportunity and excitement. Um, so I would definitely say like I would have some real conversations with myself, and my circle kept it really real with me as well. Like you're not strong enough, or you're not, you know. Um, so that's what kind of gained my edge. And over time, like I went to West Point under recruited, like I said, and then I go there, I win Rookie of the Year. And it's like that is like a microcosm of what I'm just saying. It's like everything ebbs and flows. So I just nothing's as good as it seems and nothing as bad as it seems. I try and stay medium and level in basketball and in life in general. But that's what I would say is just keeping your head down and working and staying positive. That's it, staying positive.
You go to West Point, like you said, first 2 years there in college ball. What were those experiences like for you? I know that's obviously a school, athletics might not be the primary
Yeah.
focus to the
Yeah.
outside looking in. So what was that experience like for you?
Yeah. Well, athletics isn't the primary focus. Like I went there and my first 6 weeks there was basic training. I never touched a ball and I never even spoke. I wasn't allowed to speak. So it's like I went there and it was everything but basketball. It was Army, which I knew, but that was my ticket to play basketball. So it was unique to say the least. It was such a unique experience, but all my best friends are still there. Like I'm telling you, I had an amazing time. Some of the hardest times of my life, but memories I'll never forget and values were instilled in me that will carry on with me for the rest of my life. But we were also a pretty good team. I think we finished third in the Patriot League that year. So it was my first taste of college basketball, and I was certainly grateful for it and did well. Um, so yeah. Also, this is another funny story. My first like 3 practices, I called my dad, and I still had this thing in my head. I'm like, I'm not a Division I player. Like it was like a fear in the back of my head. Um, as I told you, everything that came before it. And my first 3 practices, I'm like, Dad, like these guys are way better than me. Like I'm never gonna play here. So it was like sad, man. Like I kind of got down on myself and pans out 3 months later, and I was rookie of the year and averaging like 13 points a game. I had 32 points as a freshman one game. Like it's just crazy how things change, and when you trust the work and you stay positive and keep the faith. But that was my freshman year journey. Yeah.
It's crazy, you talked a little bit about going right into basic training
Yeah.
for athletes that, I hear about athletes that all the time, kind of on that fringe D2, D1, and
Yeah.
West Point or these other military schools are options. What would you say to other athletes if you were to offer advice in terms of going to these schools and
Yeah.
in terms of, using these platforms not only to grow their games, but to maybe grow other skills like you mentioned in the program?
Yeah. In terms of academies, like what would I say
Yeah.
there? It is a really, really special opportunity, is what I would say, and something you should strongly consider. And now it's maybe a little bit more tough with NIL because when I went there, there wasn't NIL, and that wasn't like a concern of mine ever. I just want to play basketball at the highest level. So for kids like me there, it's an amazing opportunity. And it's one, like you said, that comes with more stuff basketball could never teach you. And frankly, way more important stuff. And I spent 2 years with the guys there, and they're all going to be in my wedding. That's just how close and tight knit you become. And more so, the kids on your team become like role models to you, and that's really special. I was looking up to people that were like 2 years older than me, and I was like, I want to be like them, and I never did that before. So I don't know if you can get West Point, Air Force, Navy anywhere else. And that's why I say it's such a special opportunity. The alumni base is incredible, incredible, which makes it all more special too. I would just say it's their decision at the end of the day, but it is certainly something to consider. And one I don't regret by any means.
That's awesome. And again, a great experience, I'm sure, to look back on and to see the growth there. You've talked a little bit about role models. You've talked about people
Yeah.
that have gotten you through the voices in your head that may have been fear or these
Yeah.
times of trials and tribulations. What has it meant to not only have, family in your corner, but also these friends and teammates? How have they kind of pushed you to become a better man and a better basketball player?
Yeah. I mean, it's everything. It's really everything. People say like it's not the results, that's reward, it's a journey, but it's almost the people. Like that's really what makes it all special. Um, and alluding back to my West Point friends, like those guys they're lifelong friends. I spent a year basketball with them. But just having people to rely on when no one can sense you better than your teammates. It's just maybe just quiet and having someone to bring you out of your shell, give you confidence and self-esteem as a person, like it's contagious. It's contagious. So like that has been instrumental in my experiences when my starting point guard as a freshman, like I would mess up. He'd be like, "You're good. Like keep going." And he told me, "Don't worry about how good you did in practice, but how much did you learn?" So it turned like mistakes into learning opportunities and just stuff like a parent could say that to me, I'd be like, whatever. But it's a guy who's in my shoes that's battling with me every day that matters so much. So that's certainly what I try and do to the kids now, or kids, the freshmen on our team now. Um, is just be that leader and person that I needed when I was a freshman that just needed a slap on the back or just a smile. Um, so yeah, long story short, is it's everything, and that's the most meaningful thing. And when playing basketball, is your teammates.
And you've talked a little bit as well about now transitioning to UPenn and trying
Yeah,
to instill that on your younger teammates. What was that process like for you to come to UPenn, and I guess how did you end up here playing for the university?
yeah. So I went to Drake at a West Point, and I got really sick. I was out all season, um, and my coach ended up leaving, so I couldn't stay at Drake, and I didn't want to go to West Virginia where he went. Um, So I had to enter my name back in the portal, which was something I didn't want to do again. And lucky enough, God's plan, I ended up at the school that I always wanted to from the beginning, right? Coming out of high school, I wanted to go to the Ivy League. And UPenn came around, they called me to be interested. I'm like, absolutely. I just was like, I hope I can get in, so um, I got in, I got through all those hurdles, and it was the biggest blessing I've ever had in my life being here at Penn and just wearing Penn across my chest. It has been a beyond a dream come true. Genuinely, even last season we didn't do as great, but the people here in this place is I don't know if there's better. I really don't know if there's better. I'm so lucky to be here. And I have a fifth year. I wish I could stay here, but Ivy Leagues don't allow it. I don't know if you know that. But so yeah, Coach Donahue leaves. I want to stay. I love the program. And I hear Fran's coming. I'm like, all right, let's do it. Like just so excited, It can almost couldn't ask for better. So it's been a dream situation academically, school, campus, fit, friends, everything, and then basketball now too. So I'm blessed. Long story short is I'm just so grateful um, to be at UPenn and a future UPenn grad. To me is it's still like I can get emotional thinking about it. I can't believe it. So
The call you got that you mentioned, hey, would you be interested in coming to UPenn? What do you remember about that moment and kind
yeah,
of, I'm sure, sharing it with some people? Do you
yeah,
remember calling family right after? What was that moment like for you when you did get that
yeah.
call?
Yeah, so I was at the airport. I literally remember where I was. It's like one of those how crazy those memories are. I was at the airport kind of like walking around. I want to keep sitting, and I get a call from a number that said Philadelphia, PA, and it was Nat Graham, who's now at Cornell, and he's just like, "Hey, like, saw your name in the portal. We watched film, like, really, like, that whole thing." He's like, "Would you be interested in UPenn?" And again, like in my head, when I hear Nat Graham from UPenn, I'm like already really excited. Um, I just remember being like, "No way, this is real!" Like, like meaning like, is this really going to be an opportunity? Because I'm like, holy cow, like this would be a dream fit. So it just, I was more scared to like talk too much about it and it doesn't happen, you know? I don't want to get my sights set on something that wasn't for sure because I still had to get in, um, figure out other things as well. So it's like you don't want to get too caught up in that moment. But I will tell you when Coach Donahue, the old head coach, called me and told me that I did get in, because that was like the final thing. It's like if I get in, coach, I'm coming. Like he called me and he's like, "Hey, Ethan," because we had the decision coming up. I'm like nervous on the phone. And he's like, "Hey, you got in." I just remember like, "Let's go." I started screaming. Um, so yeah, those are two amazing moments that just like feels like a fever dream now. And to be here as a senior playing for Coach McCaffrey and this team that's a really good and really special team means all the world to me. To be a Penn basketball grad here next year is what my title is going to be the rest of my life. So I'm just I'm just fortunate. That's it. I'm grateful.
Totally, yeah. You talk about getting in. I want to ask about that because again,
Yeah.
behind the scenes, people go to these other schools. You think D1 schools, a lot of them maybe aren't as hard to get in, and we're talking about the Ivy League here.
Yeah.
What goes into that for an athlete to be able to get into the an Ivy school? What did you
Yeah.
have to do to get that final stamp of approval?
Yeah. So I had to bring up transcripts from high school. So I had like a 4.1 in high school. I was a really good student. They ask for SAT, ACT scores. They try and accumulate every piece of evidence they can of your academic journey since middle school almost. Like it's insane. So yeah, that was that. I had to submit all that stuff. And then obviously it's the transferring of credits. So you have to graduate in 4 years in the Ivy League. So like I as a sophomore. So my credits had to transfer for me to be able to graduate as a junior and senior here. So there's just like tons of hurdles. And that's what again makes this place so special is like it's so difficult to get in. It is so difficult. And I obviously I was unsure. I did get into West Point, so that helped. Um, and I did well at Drake. So I'm not sure still how exactly the admissions process worked. I just know it worked out for me and I'm super grateful. But it's funny when somebody comes to visit, they're still sometimes not in yet. And that's like a question of mine is when they're asking me, I'm like, did you get in yet? Because I remember how hard it was for me. It was all like scary for us. And he's like, you got in. I'm like, dude, like, congrats. Like, holy cow. It's just like almost a life accomplishment, it feels like, which makes this place so much more special. But yeah, I don't know if that helps answer your question a little bit. Dude, it was stressful, man. It's like whatever
I,
they're asking for, I'm trying to give to them.
right.
Um, yeah, I get
It's
like statements from my teachers in high school. I'll get statements from my teachers at my other schools of how active I am. Just you need all that. It's
right.
so
Again,
yeah,
a lot different than maybe a normal university. So it's
a lot
very,
different, right?
yeah.
Yeah,
It's
a
cool
lot
to get
different.
that perspective to see really what it's like behind the scenes for
Yeah,
you to get admitted.
yeah,
You've talked a lot about this year as well, though, and just Coach Donahue exits the program. I
yeah,
think I listened to another podcast that you were on, and a little bit of uncertainty for a while, but
yeah,
now Coach McCaffrey comes in, a very legendary career at Iowa.
yeah.
What was it like for you and any of your teammates that decided to stick at UPenn? What was it like when you guys found out that he'd be leading the program this year and beyond?
We were just hyped. You see so much stuff on Twitter, and it's like blank, 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 and you're seeing all these potential names. You just don't know what's true. Um, And then like we saw a little leak that it's like sources confirm Fran McCaffrey next head coach at Penn, and we're like, holy cow! Like you're like speechless because this is an Iowa legend and a high major coach who really knows what he's doing. Has got a ton of wins and he went to the tournament every school he's been at. So he's just tenured and a winner. Um, and I think what's even more significant is he's a Penn grad. He knows what it means to be a great team here at Penn and go to Penn. So his team went to the Final Four, and he was on some legendary teams here at UPenn. So we were excited to be around an alum too. Um, so yeah, just hearing those two things was awesome. Electric. We were all sending the group chat like, "Let's go."
What has it been like in these first, few months? Obviously, you had probably some summer ball with him, learning his system and things like that. But now that
Yeah.
you're in this season, you're starting to both apply them in game and also rewatch them in film. What's it been
Yeah.
like to learn his system here early in the season?
Yeah. Well, like I said, I was out. So for me personally, it was a lot of watching on the sideline with them and
Right.
kind of talking through the game. We don't really have summers in the Ivy League. So we're not like every other school. It's where they're putting in their system and working out every single day and accumulating that chemistry and important stuff. We don't have that. So we're already way far behind. So we start like end of August. I don't even know what the date is. Maybe September. I don't even know. Um, so we had to learn quick. We had to learn really quick. And Coach McCaffrey's so detailed and he's a great teacher. Like we saw all these things on Twitter sometimes to him screaming. Stuff that you think he's like holy cow, he might like scream at us really bad in practice. But what's interesting about film, and this is some insight, it's like he's a teacher. So in practice, we'll like call time and we'll all stop and he'll just talk it through us. He'll tell us like what he sees. So it's just kind of what maybe some people don't might not expect, with friend coaching. Um, so yeah, it was easy to pick up. And everybody has such high respect for him, and you should, right? He's a tenured coach, very successful. So it was honestly a really easy transition. But for me, I was more worried about the flow of me not being able to play in a while. And we had two new transfers and five new freshmen. I think that is the thing that you see the most in our play is like we're still coming together. We didn't have the summer, we didn't have I didn't have the preseason. But he's been so patient. He's been so patient and I haven't been able to, like I said, work out as much, shoot as many shots I can because I'm limited to stuff I can do and I put it all in practice and in games. So his patience and confidence still within me is like he's a player's coach, and that's really special. I've been at three spots now, and this is special, and it makes you feel like he has all the confidence in the world, and you just want to play as hard as you can for him. And I'll
Yeah.
say that about our whole staff as well. He's got an amazing staff, amazing staff. And I could ramble on each one about them, but yeah, I think the thing about Coach Fran being here, it's like he's lit a fire in us that's been contagious. Just about us being at Penn, the hype around Penn, and we're winning games. We're winning big games too, right? We're in the Big Five championship first time in like 7 years, is it? Like that we're a real team, and it's like you can feel that energy within us. And I think that all starts with him. So
Mentioned player coach too, and I'm very curious because, like you said, we can see the videos on social media. We can see him
yeah, yeah,
kind of yelling at his players, but that's kind of
yeah,
the tough love that I think he instills. What is he like, I guess, behind the scenes and maybe off the court? How does
yeah,
he keep the group together and bonded,
yeah,
and what does he do to kind of lead the charge for you guys?
yeah. Um, Behind the scenes, like I alluded to, he's a player's coach. Like he makes you feel like one of his. Um, And he's like more quiet and reserved than I think what some people would think. Maybe he's not the biggest fan of refs. I think we can just say that. Um, but yeah, he doesn't really yell at us like that. Like it's maybe a misconception that I'm hearing that. Again, like he's a teacher. He teaches us the game, lets us see it, and instills confidence within us. Um, like big family guy has us over to his house. Like he keeps his life pretty simple, and that's something I appreciate. Um, like he's not on social media or anything like that. So. Yeah, he just keeps his life simple and he's somewhat of a quiet guy, has a joke every now and then, makes us laugh in film. He's just fun to be around. He's a good dude and has good energy about him, and we all rally around him, and that's what matters the most. So,
In terms of your development this season, you said
yeah,
you didn't have much summer. You had to
yeah,
watch a lot of the preseason as you guys are learning this new system under Fran. What has it been like? I guess the ebbs and flow of just this season alone for
yeah,
you so far, and how do you think that you've found so much success early on in this season?
yeah. No, this is a great question because like it's something that I'm still working through. Like, how do I find success through these ebbs and flows? I'm out some practices. I feel terrible in some games. I'm hurting really bad. I'm on medication. This has been the most trying season for me, and it's been my favorite. So I don't want to get that confused, but like I've had to keep the faith, and I've dug in so much more into my faith in God. Frankly, I've become so much more religious this year, and I think that's been like my where my identities lie. It's not in basketball. And like I think at Drexel and like other reporters, like you're the second leading scorer in the country. Like how do you blah blah blah? You're averaging blank points a game. How do you blah blah blah? Like I just try and tell them like I'm not a scorer or shooter, like I'm a competitor. And whatever that entails, like I'm gonna do. So it's like I'm not putting pressure on myself to do X and Y. I'm just gonna compete. If I get doubled, I'm gonna pass the ball. Um, and I think I say all that to say like that's where my successes come is everything is different. You know, this game I may get double. This game I might go off for 35 or have a great game or miss my shots. Like it is what it is, but I'm gonna compete and I'm about winning. That's it. So I keep my focus in on what I can control. And again, it helps a lot with Fran. One time like I said, I can't get as many shots as I want, so I don't feel as polished playing. But I shot a shot. And I was like, Coach, I don't know if I feel too good about that shot. And he's like, you're Ebo, you shot it. It's a good shot. So it's like hearing that, it just kind of keeps the energy light around me. But nonetheless, I'm keeping the faith within myself as I've seen before as a freshman, as a sophomore, junior, and senior, like everything goes like this. That's just life. So I'm trying to maintain like my homeostasis of keeping God number one, just being a good person because that's what life's about. And hopefully, getting some wins, right? But yeah, I'm
Talk-
just
Yeah. You
that's
talk
it.
about you talk about faith, and I think that's
Yeah.
a very uh, growing aspect of maybe not
Yes.
growing, but growing in terms of how athletes are sharing their faith and sharing their stories. Why do you feel like, and maybe in terms of interactions you've had with other athletes, whether it be basketball or any other sport,
Yeah.
why do you think that's growing and becoming so prevalent for athletes these days?
That's a really good question. I just think it's the truth and the way of life of how you should live your life. And as athletes, we have so much pressure. Like I'm even off social media now. Like what people say about, me on Twitter or Instagram or they'll hit my DMs or something, say like maybe I lose a bet for them. Whatever it is, whatever it is, like everybody has their own opinion, but when you do focus your life and your identity on one thing that's consistent, it changes everything. It's like a weight off your shoulders, and it's like you don't have identity crisis. And frankly, the Bible and religion is a great like psychological tool. It like boiled down, but I just think I'm biased. I just think it's the way and the truth of life. And all our team now, we pray before practice. We didn't do that last year. It's just become integrated now into our team and program, and that's really special to me. And seeing my teammates, dive into their faith too, it's like brings more connection as well. But really, I don't want to say it's a self-help thing for athletes, but there's certainly some aspects there of, anxiety, some depression. It's just you have performance anxiety, performance, depression, whatever it is. Like, I really do think faith in general is a really important thing to have as an athlete. Like, when you make that identity and not basketball, you don't feel like you're a terrible person after a bad game. It just gives you perspective on life, really, and what really matters. And I think that helps a lot.
Yeah.
There's a lot
Heck
to be
yeah.
said there. A lot to
Right.
be said there. I wish I could give you a
Absolutely.
better answer, but like that is
No, man, you're basically saying to stay grounded. I mean, and it's been
it
what we've
is.
talked about. There's ebbs and
It's
flows in basketball and in life.
in
And
life.
yeah,
Basketball is a microcosm of life. Um, Faith is grounding, man. You said it. Like it's kind of what life's about, honestly. I've gotten so much more religious this year. And I'm a Catholic. Like I've always been a Catholic, but it's like up until this year to where I was out and couldn't do basketball, it's like once I had that taken away from me, it's like everything changed. Um, and I was telling one reporter, like, what'd you do this year to have such a big, like your night and day have gone so much better from your senior year? It's like I didn't work out. Like I couldn't work out. So my answer to that is I spent more time with my mom and I got closer with God and I got right with myself. That's what I did like this summer. And so far it's worked out and maybe like I drop off for I don't know. But I just know that, I'm good with myself and I'm grateful to be in these shoes. That's for sure.
This is just episode 1 of Courtside Chronicles. Each week, we'll take you across the headlines from the sport of basketball. And to watch our weekly episodes, you can download the ABC 27 Plus app on your smart TV. Reporting in studio for Courtside Chronicles, I'm Caleb Nixon.